Welcome back to another episode of ECW 2006, and CyberSlam begins with Tommy Dreamer coming down to the ring to deliver an update on the condition of Terry Funk. Dreamer says that Funk is in a very bad way and he can't help but let his feelings come to the surface as he talks. He calls out the treatment of Funk at the hands of the Extreme Horsemen and says that if that November to Remember was his last match, then Funk deserved a better send-off. The Extreme Horsemen come out to address the words of Tommy Dreamer, with the outnumbered Dreamer aware of the potential danger. Thankfully for him, Brent Albright and Chad Collier have his back and go after Steve Corino and Paul Burchill. Albright takes Corino down and focuses then on helping his partner deal with Burchill. As this happens on the outside, Anderson and Richards ready themselves to lay into Tommy Dreamer. However, for reasons unknown to anybody, Raven runs down to make the save, swinging a chair and clearing the ring of Stevie Anderson and Stevie Richards. Once again, playing mind games with Tommy Dreamer, Raven begins to laugh before leaving the ring and heading out through the crowd. It's not a great segment to start the show, but it did get the crowd hotter, so something good there. Joey Styles and Taz talk about and then introduce a video package of the whirlwind last week of Rhino and CM Punk. At November to Remember, Rhino defeated Punk to become the TV champion, only for Punk to win the world title in the show's main event as the hand-picked replacement of Rob Van Dam. Last week on CyberSlam, the pair went face-to-face with a potential champion v champion match in the pipeline. We get the first match of the night, Sonny Siaki teaming with Homicide. He defeats Roadkill and Danny Doring in a match that had subpar wrestling and little heat. It's a dominant, decisive victory for them. Homicide head and shoulders above everybody else with a 51. Sonny Siaki again with a disappointing 32, but it's a win for the Hustle. And the post-match where Homicide clearly had something else on his mind throughout the contest, he takes a microphone afterwards and calls out Xavier. Of course, Xavier last week turning on the Hustle leader and attacking him in the ring. Xavier came to the top of the ramp, but wasn't going to fall into Homicide's trap of being attacked by the two of them. Instead, he told Homicide that this wasn't just about them two, asking if anybody had heard from Low Key since November to Remember. Homicide couldn't answer that question and ultimately didn't have to, as the Havana Pitbulls jumped Xavier from behind. Having made no friends in the back due to his association with the Hustle for the last 9 months, there was nobody who came to the aid of Xavier as he was beaten down on the ramp by Ricky Reyes and Rocky Romero. It's not been a very good show so far, and I was hoping CM Punk's segment could lift us up, but obviously Steve Richards and Steve Anderson bringing it down. Getting a word with the man at the centre of the biggest story of the week, Jade asks CM Punk to put into words his feelings since November to Remember. Punk talks about the lows and the highs that he felt all during that one night, saying that no drug could possibly give the feeling of becoming the World Heavyweight Champion live on pay-per-view. As he speaks, Stevie Anderson and Stevie Richards walk into the shot, looking to pick a fight with the champion after being taken down earlier by Raven and Tommy Dreamer. Richards looks Punk up and down and laughs and says that the champion doesn't much look like a heavyweight to him. Richards towers over Punk to illustrate this point, but the champion has an answer. He says that everybody is the same size when they're down on the canvas, and if they ever went one-on-one, Richards would be laid out and tapping on the mat. Having been put in his place, Richards walked off, with Anderson following him behind. This hasn't been a very good episode. We've got Brent Albright v Steve Corino in the main event, and I'm really needing that to pull something out because Steve Anderson struggling to improvise while the other two did okay, but still not a very good segment considering it involved CM Punk. The second match of the night, I didn't expect much better from that. Kevin Furtick again getting a lot of static from the crowd, despite it only being a 3-minute 50 match and a complete squash match. And after the match, they stand tall, licking each other's faces while standing over their latest victims. On commentary, Taz and Joey Styles wonder who could possibly stop Kevin Furtick and what is next for the pair currently in the ring. While Furtick and Shelley go to the back, the focus switches to the commentator's desk as Rhino makes his way, hijacking the broadcast, pulling Joey Styles' headset off and saying that he knows that Paul is listening and he wants him out here right now. Soon Paul Heyman comes to the top of the ramp trying to play peacemaker, trying to calm Rhino down and talk things through. Rhino is in no mood for compromise and tells Paul Heyman he knows what he wants and he needs to give it to him. Paul Heyman pleads with Rhino, saying that it isn't quite as easy as just making the match, but Rhino thinks it is that simple. Heyman says that 2 strong champions is better for ECW, and he promises to promote and feature the Television Championship and the World Championship equally, but he doesn't want them going face to face. He doesn't want one champion. This isn't enough for Rhino, who demands his title to be held up as number 1. Rhino grabs Heyman by his shirt and tells him that he knows what has to be done. Whoever he needs to talk to, whatever it takes, Paul Heyman has got 1 week to give in to Rhino's demands. That is a better segment, a C, which will help us at the end of the show, but still we are relying on this main event. The main event gets a 53C-, which is a solid enough main event. Brent Albright v Steve Corino. They have faced off 3 times before. Twice they were involved in the fall. Steve Corino has defeated Brent Albright in singles competition. A couple of weeks back, Brent Albright pinned Steve Corino in a tag team match, a shocking victory for him. This time, when Paul Burchill runs in and attacks Brent Albright, he takes out Chad Collier at ringside also. Steve Corino picks up a win over Brent Albright in 14 minutes and 28. It's 2 decent performances. Steve Corino obviously a little bit better than Brent Albright, but that is more like what we want from Albright, and hopefully he can continue to at least be an upper mid-card level, because a 45 will be okay for those positions. I'm happy with that main event. We just need to hope that it's enough to keep the show from tanking. After the match, with Brent Albright's partner taken out by Paul Burchill and himself defeated by Corino, things do not look good for the shooter as Burchill and Corino begin to circle. Running down from the back, Tommy Dreamer came out to protect his friend and also get some revenge for Terry Funk, blocking Burchill and Corino from getting to him. Burchill and Corino didn't want to really get involved with Dreamer and left the ring, but mocked Tommy Dreamer as they went up the ramp. He was still fired up about what happened to his mentor, and Tommy Dreamer took a microphone, issuing a challenge. He doesn't care if people think he's stupid. He is sick of seeing Steve Corino throw his weight around, and he's sick of him running his mouth and Burchill doing all the dirty work. Dreamer's world seems to be falling down around him, and at this point, he's got nothing to lose. He wants to fight Paul Burchill, and he's making the challenge for next week. So it's not a particularly great way to end the show either. It's been a very poor week for ratings, despite Dreamer there doing a masterful job of improvising. I've got to hope that we keep in these C-. I don't expect much more than that, but D+ would be really disappointing. It's a C-, the main event just scraping us into there, and obviously a couple of okay segments here and there. That's not a particularly good episode of CyberSlam. Basically, because Rob Van Dam is out injured, we've only got CM Punk who we can rely on to definitely deliver at the level that we need. Steve Corino stepping up well this week, and Brent Albright holding up his end of the bargain. That's the end of this week's show, and next week we have another match that we're going to have to hope can deliver in the ratings. Tommy Dreamer versus Paul Burchill. That will be next week's main event.